There's nothing like a good old real-world road trip in an EV story to bring a smile to your face. You ride the roller coaster of emotions with the poor driver as they anxiously plan their trip around charging stations, the highs as they realise they might just make their destination before the battery runs out, and the lows when they realise the only charging station that can save them is broken. It's almost better than watching a thriller in the cinema. But seriously, this kind of article just goes to show how utterly inept the battery electric car really is compared to its combustion counterpart, and the level of self-delusion of the EV zealots. Welcome back to MGUY, British engineer and lawyer turned Sydney YouTuber. If you wish to keep up with all the net zero and EV insanity, please click that subscribe button down below and enable all notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you'd like to support this channel, head over to my store where you can purchase some cool anti-EV merch, or alternatively you can chip in a small donation at Buy Me a Coffee. Links to both are in the description, or you can scan the QR codes on screen. In this article, a journalist at the Mirror is given a fancy new Volvo C40 electric vehicle and puts it to the test in a real-world situation. I drove 350 miles in a day in an electric car. The numbers didn't work. Every few weeks I embark on a 350-mile round trip, 170 miles each way, from my home in Cornwall to Bristol for family and footballing reasons. The question wasn't whether the journey was possible, but rather how convenient it would be, the cost involved, and how it would compare in terms of time. The competition for the Volvo was stiff. My trusty BMW 318 diesel, now more than 18 years old, which consistently delivers between 55 and 60 miles per gallon on this route and can easily cover close to 700 miles on a full tank. Filling up the tank cost me roughly £80, takes only a few minutes, and I never have to worry about running out of fuel during my 350-mile trip. The Volvo that he was planning to use for the trip had a claimed range of 273 miles, but we all know that you can take a sizable chunk off that in real-world situations, as the testing is done in ridiculously benign conditions. Whilst charging at home overnight, if you have that luxury, is one thing, the alternatives aren't that appealing. However, public chargers are a different kettle of fish. In my search I found prices ranging from 28p per kilowatt hour for a slow 7 kilowatt supermarket car park charge, the ones at Tesco used to be free but not anymore, to a staggering 79p for a faster boost of up to 350 kilowatts. What you're paying for here is speed. That 79p charger could fill the EV battery in something like 30 minutes, but it would set you back a hefty £60 or more. Remarkable, isn't it? It's as if petrol or diesel is more expensive if you fill up your tank faster. And again, you can see immediately how much planning is required for this simple trip, and how the EV controls the driver and the journey, a complete reversal of the situation with a regular car. In the days leading up to my trip, I spent a considerable amount of time pondering over strategy and cost. It was clear that the round trip without charging was out of the question. Therefore, I had to plan for a quick fast charge at a motorway service station on the way there, followed by a slow top-up at a relative's house in Bristol, and another pit stop for a boost on the return journey to avoid the risk of being stranded on Bodmin Moor in the dark. The anticipation of this seemingly more epic than usual journey filled me with a blend of anxiety and excitement. Would I reach Bristol? Would the chargers at the service stations function properly? What if they didn't? Would I find myself returning home at midnight after spending a lonely Saturday night at a deserted motorway service station, waiting for the battery to charge? This was going to be an interesting experience. Yes, it certainly was. And as you would expect, it started very badly before he'd even left home. Despite the battery indicating a full charge, the actual range displayed was only 180 miles, falling short of the Volvo's official claim of a theoretical 273-mile range. This meant that I had just enough to cover the 175-mile trip. I had hoped for a bit more wiggle room. Factors such as outside temperature, driving conditions, and usage of amenities like climate control and heated seats can impact the range. However, in order to make a fair comparison with my old diesel car, I was resolved not to forego these comforts to stretch the range. Well, all I can say is that decision was very brave, and the first charging stop was barely 100 miles later, and having managed to put in some juice, there was yet another shock to the system. The whole process had been quite simple, but it hadn't been inexpensive. The cost was £19.62 to add 55 miles. Blimey, 55 miles in my BMW would consume about a gallon, costing less than £7. I finally arrived in Bristol just past 11 a.m, about half an hour later than usual. Upon arrival, my charge was down to 35% with a range of 60 miles. I hastily plugged in at a relative's house for a slow recharge using a standard 3-pin plug. By 6:30 p.m, I had managed to add another 30 miles to the car's range, costing around £5. Oh my God, just think about that for a minute. 30 miles of range in 7.5 hours of charging. It was only slightly better than leaving the thing unplugged altogether. Utterly ridiculous. But hey, this is the future, people. And the return trip was even worse. The journey home was nerve-wracking. Throughout the day, I evaluated my charging options for the return trip and realised I had overlooked a better option. GridServe operates a larger charging station at Exeter Services, roughly halfway through my journey, offering super fast chargers that deliver 350 kilowatts. If you're lucky, a significant upgrade from the 60 kilowatt charger I used at Taunton. Since I did this trip, it has expanded even further and is now a major charging hub. I set off for home at 6:45 p.m, the typical departure time for this day trip, having managed to charge the car up to a 90-mile range or 52%. Exeter was 75 miles away. It was going to be close, but I was resolved to reach it without having to stop twice on the way home. I was confident that the super fast charger would come to my rescue, provided I could make it there. The following hour was incredibly tense. I barely made it to Exeter with a mere 7% charge left, showing a range of 14 miles. The last 20 minutes before reaching Exeter were particularly unnerving, as the range seemed to shrink more and more. But I made it, and at 8 p.m. plugged in. The process was as straightforward as in the morning, quick and easy to get charging, this time for some reason 66 pence per kilowatt hour. He seemed pleased when the fast charger added 126 miles in 45 minutes, despite being able to fill up his BMW with diesel for a 700-mile range in about 5 minutes, or in other words, almost exactly 50 times faster than charging the EV. The comparison is quite hilarious. And the icing on the cake is that it was more expensive as well. It's a long article and I suggest you go and read the whole thing at the link in the description. But it goes to show just how far EVs are from providing the drop-in solution for convenience and practicality that the net zero zombies would have us believe. As the article concludes, we still have some distance to cover before EVs can match the convenience of petrol or diesel vehicles, even if they are environmentally cleaner. They're not. There is no mainstream EV on the planet right now that can match 700 miles to the tank. The day when we all drive electric cars is likely still a few decades away. If you're in the market for a new car, considering an electric vehicle is certainly worthwhile. However, it's not a decision to be made on a whim with a sudden declaration of, I must buy an electric car. There are numerous factors to consider, and the practicality of going electric will vary from individual to individual. Indeed there are, and for most people at this point in time, there is little argument for an EV unless you have the luxury of off-street parking and charging, and you also have a second combustion car for when you need to make journeys like this. Otherwise, buying one will do nothing for the planet, but I can guarantee one thing, it will make your car journeys utterly miserable. Thanks very much for watching, really hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any tips or stories, go there. If you'd like to watch another video, go there. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, go there, and please subscribe to the channel.